What's going on, guys? It's Joshua, Feature Filmmaker Reviews, where I talk movies, TV, anime, music, continuing my little Halloween review segment for October, and we're going to talk about The Munsters, which this is a new Rob Zombie film. This is a comedy based on the family sitcom from the 1960s of the same name. It takes place prior to the events previously adapted in the series, while serving as an origin story for these characters. Stars James Daniel Phillips, Sherry Moon Zombie, and Daniel Roebuck. The story, of course, we follow Lily Munster and Herman Munster, as this is basically their Transylvanian romance, how it came to be. Unfortunately, Lily's father has other plans for his beloved daughter's future. Now, if you guys are new to the channel, all my social media links in the description box down below. If you're seeing on screens, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Letterboxd, TikTok, and such. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you won't miss no more videos like this. As also, my Cash App and my Amazon wish list are in the description box down below if you want to send anything. When it comes to The Munsters, this is a movie I was, like everyone else, why are you messing with a 60s classic? But unlike most, I went into it a little optimistic, because I did grow up watching some episodes of the original show, and I'll just say my thoughts on the original show here before I get into it. I personally think the original show from the 60s, it's a fun little show back in the day. I'm aware of it, I like the characters, it was fun adventures with them, and it was nice watching reruns of this show as a kid. So that also did play a little bit into why I was a little curious about it. But also, this was Rob Zombie going out of his comfort zone. He's not doing the usual shtick that he's been doing with his other films. And for me, Rob Zombie, like I said, he is one of the more frustrating directors, because he can direct very well, but when it comes to his writing, there's things that leaves a lot to be desired here. And then also, to add insult to injury, I didn't think the trailers for this looked all that great. I personally think this should be something in black and white, but I went into it with an optimistic mindset, and I'm just gonna say right now, personally, I don't think it's that bad. In fact, this might be my new favorite Rob Zombie film. Of course, is it the greatest movie ever made? No. But I do think it's a entertaining movie that respects the Munsters in the best way it could. Now, I know some people are crapping on this. I know there are some people who do like this, and I know even Munster fans who are either liking it or hating it. So this is a very split film for most people, but the majority is hate. But I gotta tell you, I was actually pretty impressed when it comes to this. Now, I'm not going to put this in my best of the year, but I will say this is a movie I think is at least trying to be entertaining. I will say this does have your usual Rob Zombie problems, which I will go into this now to get my negatives out of the way. Some of the comedy and some of the writing here is not great. I feel like while Rob Zombie, he was the right person to direct this, I feel like writing-wise, you needed someone else of a higher caliber for some stuff. But this is his passion project, and you could tell that he wanted to do The Munsters justice the best way he could. Also, yes, I'm just gonna say it now, I don't really think the portrayal of Lily Munster is anything that great. Granted, Sherry Moon Zombie does try, but this is a thing with him where he does have to put his wife in pretty much everything. I know it happens with Paul W.S. Anderson. I know it happens with Lynn Wiseman. And also, same thing could be said about the director of Dr. Sleep, Mike Flanagan. But in those cases, we at least know that they're decent actors. Here, I just feel like the portrayal, I think she does the best she can, but when we're comparing to the original Lily Munster, yeah, leaves a lot to be desired. But this is far from her worst performance, so I will give it that. And yes, the movie is a little lengthy, of course. But besides that, this is a fun little entertaining time. I like a lot of what they go for here. And it at least tries to be like the show. If this was R-rated Munsters, this would not work very well. Now, it is witty. I do like some of the comedy here. I do like some of the funny humor and some of the funny moments, especially when it comes to Lily and Herman. The grandpa especially was my favorite part here. Daniel Roebuck, he has a lot of fun in the role. You can tell that he gets the character of the grandpa down to a T. I will also say Lou Diamond Phillips does a pretty solid job as Herman. He does have a different voice compared to the original Herman, but I think he does a pretty solid job. Now, Lily, like I said, despite my criticism of her, I will say this: I do think Sherry Moon Zombie does try for what is required of her. So I will give it that. And the rest of the cast here, I do think is pretty good. And you do have some cameos by the original actors who are still around from the Munsters. A lot of this movie is pretty much practical, like the show. Some good special effects, some great makeup, some great costume design, some great set design. There is some okay CGI, but everything that's practical about this movie is practical, and it's a $5 million budget. And some people say that's extremely cheap, which yes, it is, but you don't need $100 million to make this into something good. I know some people criticize this as cosplay, but come on. There's been way worse shit they've done with a budget, you know. Also, I just have to admire the fact that it does feel like you're watching an episode of the show, except it's not like a prequel. And you do have some Easter eggs and some nostalgia there, and I did enjoy the nostalgia from 20th century TV shows and cartoons like the Universal Monsters, and a little bit of the Addams Family charm, even though this is not on the same level of the Addams Family movies or the Addams Family Reunion movie, or not even the soon-to-be Wednesday, which I'm looking forward to that, because I do think Tim Burton is going to bring it with that. And just the casting of Jenna Ortega there looks pretty cool. But like I said, it's fun for what it is. If you want a movie that can turn your brain off and you just want to enjoy something like the Munsters, that's fine. Again, I know this is not for everyone, but it's not pretty horrible. Yes, if you're expecting Oscar gold or something, I'm sorry, but yeah. It does feel like a CCTV show at times, and it does have some iffy humor and some lines of dialogue that are not so great, but if you can just take this as its own merit, I think you can enjoy it. I enjoyed it more than I thought it would, but this is not horrible. I just, like I said, but considering the fact that this is from a director who usually does very mean-spirited and brutal horror, this had any right to be better than it actually is. Now again, take that for what you will, but I personally didn't have a problem with it. again, like I said, yes, there are some moments where Herman Zombie is kind of phoning it in, but there are other times I think she's quite decent here. The production design looks good. I think the visuals look good. I like the performances of Herman and the grandpa. And it knew what it was. And if you know what you are, then you get praise. Like I said, if this was a rated R version of the Munsters, this would not be an easy watch, considering the frustrating director behind it, but I do enjoy it for the most part. I will walk away and say, if you are a fan of Rob Zombie or the Munsters, give it a shot. If you don't like it, that's fine. It's on Netflix, so you get to make the decision of your own. And for that, I will walk away and give this movie the benefit of the doubt and give it, I would say, give it a stream it or something. I'm being fair to it, despite a lot of some issues I just mentioned, my negatives, but I was surprised by this, considering the fact the trailers weren't all that good, and me knowing who the Munsters are. I was surprised just as anybody else. So you could stream it. Well, that's going to do it for the video that you just watched. I will have my channel here, so you would like to see anything here, click the channel icon, subscribe for more. I will also leave a video and maybe a playlist here, so in case you want to see what I'm about. As always, stay Epictasticness, join the Epictasticness, and you guys keep it cool.